guys, so Bitcoin is unstoppable. And the question on every degen's mind right now is when will alt season kick in and how much further can Bitcoin go on this move? We're going to cover off both of those questions here in this video. If you want to trade in these moves, check out the link to Bybit in the description. But as you can see here, Bitcoin is absolutely rocketing, right? Huge move here to the upside, breaking through critical resistances. And now Bitcoin faces the most important battle, which we've been speaking about for many, many weeks now. It's the neckline of a very important cup and handle pattern. So many people dismiss this cup and handle pattern. And even on the painful days here when we were falling down below 25,000, I said, guys, I know it doesn't sound right, but if you look at the technicals, we're still in the handle of the cup and handle pattern. We recovered to the top side, broke out of this channel, and now facing very important resistance. Do not think this is going to be easy, guys. Between this level here, all the way up to 32, this is an important cluster of resistance until we clear this line and get through and even maybe a retest, right? Something like this, and then a break to the downside and then go back up, then 45k plays back into frame, right? Then that's the price target. If you want to look at it from the falling wedge, yes, we've met our price target at the top of the wedge, but in order to get the bigger target of 37,000, we've got to get cleared past this level. Okay, so congratulations to you who traded this falling wedge with us. You met 1, 2, all 3 price targets here, and you would have successfully closed out your trade. If you're holding for a long-term perspective, of course, we want this to continue up towards 37,000. But the question on a lot of people's mind right now is, what about alt season? What about altcoins? Altcoins are struggling right now. Yes, they're moving a little bit, but many are still decimated from all-time highs, right? Hugely retraced out. Well, let's take a look at what has happened historically and try to understand what happens here in terms of Bitcoin dominance. Because right now you're seeing a very clear breakout of Bitcoin dominance. We spoke about this. We predicted this breakout. We said, guys, when we clear 48%, then we look towards 52, and then we look towards 59. And right now we're on that journey. We're sitting at 51 here on Bitcoin dominance. Now, what I wanted to do was take you to the previous cycle. As with anything in Bitcoin, we know there's a 4-year cycle. And we can look at the previous data because history doesn't repeat, but it certainly does rhyme. In the previous cycle, you can go back to January 2018 and see that Bitcoin dominance was sitting at 36%. In other words, altcoins made up the remainder 70% or 65% of the entire market cap of crypto, even back in 2018. But then Bitcoin did its thing. It went on a surge leading up to the halving. Remember, the 2020 halving was here on May the 11th. 2020, and it rose to 73%. And this was just shy, let's just take a look here, that was 248 days before the halving. Okay, so 248 days before the halving, call it 2/3 of a year, right? So that's where we're sitting at, 2/3 of a year. And so you can see here that we got all the way up to 73%. Now compare that to where we're at currently. Bitcoin's at 51%, right? So there's still plenty to go here to get to this 71, 72, 73% level up here where my cursor is on this current move. In other words, there could still be much more here. We could just be in this part here of our Bitcoin dominance leg. And of course, Bitcoin dominance went on another leg the closer it got to the halving. Now, what we have currently, however, is if we look at where we are at currently, we are already, roughly speaking, about 320 odd days away from the halving, depending on obviously the epoch. So looking at it, you got about 60 to 70 days before you get to the point at which Bitcoin dominance started reversing. And then it's very interesting to watch how it reversed. It reversed to the downside. It had a leg here leading up to the halving and a period of time after the halving where Bitcoin dominance started falling here to the downside. Bitcoin dominance fell about, if we take a look at the percentage move, 20%. So all coins would have done well during this period leading up to the halving and a little bit after. But then something interesting happens. Then you have a bounce and the dominance goes back to its peak again. And then you had your big fall. So if you look at it, the real point you want to be taking is this point. This was the final point at which Bitcoin dominance topped out. So if you're looking at it as when's the final time to really get your altcoins locked and loaded, you're looking at here, which is about 240 days after the halving. Very interesting. So it's 240 days after the halving. In other words, Bitcoin dominance got to 73% and stayed pretty elevated for the best part of the year and almost a half, right? 482 days. In other words, we've got some time here to allocate altcoins. And this is the thing, right now Bitcoin's going to do its move. And this is why I always make sure that I've got Bitcoin in the portfolio, because you will not want to be missing out on this move. And if Bitcoin dominance wants to go even higher up towards that 70%, then certainly you will not want to be missing out on those gains. But also, now is the time when people are not feeling like topping up altcoins. They feel like altcoins aren't moving, they're dead. And that is why I want to be looking at my favorite altcoins and making sure I've got enough of them and I'm ready to have them. Because when altcoin season does come, it comes on very quick. And if you look here how quickly Bitcoin dominance falls to the downside here, you can see Bitcoin dominance plummeting here 45% in about 130 days, right? So in other words, 4 months, it falls quickly where altcoins pick up the majority of the market cap of the space. So to summarize, we are just under 300 days here from the Bitcoin halving. If you go back to the previous cycle and you go back 300 or so days, that brings you to about this region here. And if you look at it, Bitcoin is still at 70% dominance at its peak. So this is the question now is this the peak of Bitcoin dominance? Or is it going to have another move over the next month or two and try to reach 70%? It could be a really quick, powerful move here on Bitcoin. If you look at this historically, it happened very quickly, right? From the region which we're in here, it happened from there all the way to there. In other words, that peak happened in the next 150 days, so 3 months. Could we see 3 months of a Bitcoin pump leading up to the halving, a move maybe up to here, and then we start to see it start falling as altcoins start to take favor down here? Let's just draw this in. So could we see it move up to here, or create a peak, start falling down into the halving, then go retest the peak, right? That would be copying exactly what it's done in the previous cycle. And then a little while after that, you start seeing the altcoins then take control in the dominance. So that is something we want to watch out for. Now, the personal way that I deal with this, I made this very clear in lots of videos. Some people like to go into Bitcoin and then rotate into altcoins. Now, I do not like to do that. I feel like that's very, very risky. Yes, history rhymes, but it doesn't repeat, right? There's no guarantee to say that exactly what happened in the last cycle is going to happen again. Now, there are probabilities that it could, but for me, I'm much more peaceful, I'm much calmer saying, here's my Bitcoin. When Bitcoin dominance does well, you run. And here's my altcoins. When altcoins do well, they run. Because the one thing that the Bitcoin dominance doesn't show you is total 3. And it's total 3 that you also want to look at. Here is total 3. This is the market cap of all altcoins, excluding even Ethereum, okay? So this is just really all your other alts. Now, if you go back historically, which is what we're looking at here, this is back in January 2018. It hits a peak. Hits a peak, we go into bear market, and the market cap falls all the way down here, hugely suppressed. Now you'll start to see that it forms a bottom here. Now, if we take a look at that bottom, how many days from the halving were we? We were 58 days, or in other words, about 2 months away from the halving, and it forms a bottom. And then you start to see a slight gradual increase after the halving, into the halving, after the halving, and it starts picking up thereafter. So you really start to see a decent pickup here about 200 days after the halving. But look at this, guys. The real movement happens thereafter, right? Because Bitcoin has its leg after the halving, and then that money flows to Ethereum, and then you see other altcoins doing well in the latter part of the bull market. So what you really start to see is, if you were to look at this, of course, you move from, once the halving starts, you really want to be locked and loaded, but you even have time that even up until this point, if you were accumulating, you could be accumulating for a good half a year or 6 months after the halving, and still all of those altcoins would have benefited from the massive move in market cap to the upside. Now, jumping back into Bitcoin for the short-term traders out there, looking at the 5-minute chart, if you want to trade any of these moves, ijaz.uk/bybit, claim yourself those bonuses, definitely take advantage of that. You can see here we're forming another symmetrical triangle, a consolidation pattern. A nice big move here by Bitcoin. It needs to cool off. It needs to cool off through a consolidation pattern, and even breaking down and collecting some support. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to look at this move, what you can see is it started breaking to the downside, but then it faked out and we're now back in. So the question is going to be, can we do something like this and start working our way back to the upside? Remember, the price target from this trade and this move will get you back to the top of the triangle, back at 30,800 here. Now, longer term, zooming out here on the 4 hourly, a lot of you guys have been asking me, where do I want to look for top ups, right? Where do you start purchasing? You certainly do not want to have green candle disease. You had plenty of time to accumulate. If you now find yourself FOMOing, bite your hands, sit on your hands, chill out for a bit, and just wait for pullbacks. There will be a pullback, right? Remember when this move happened from 19,500 just recently, earlier this year, all the way up to 31? Everyone's like, oh, it's going to the moon. I need to fall. I said, guys, chill out. We're going to go back to 25. Similarly here, we need to just remain calm, bring out the EMA ribbon on the 4-hourly, and you can see how extended we are. So naturally, I would at some point expect a retest of 29 for support. You can also see the EMA ribbon comes in at 28.5. Those are the immediate levels. An even deeper pullback will bring you down to 27.7. If I jump up to the daily chart, you can see where we're at. We're trying to fight 30,000 level here and 31,000. They're joined like a rectangle bit of resistance area. We're trying to fight it with very little momentum because we've had all of this move to the upside. We're running out of steam. Look at RSI, it's topped out. So do not be surprised to see this wanting to call off a bit, have a small leg down, right? A small leg down, maybe down here to 29, and then go for a bigger move to the upside once you give yourself some breathing room on the RSI, okay? Do not be surprised to see that with the RSI here, just notching down, giving some breathing room before we can move to the upside. And that could provide you with a potential entry if you can grab it on that pullback. Do I think we're going to come all the way down to the daily EMA ribbon at 27? Very difficult now. Remember, there are fundamental things which are changing in this market. There's fundamental institutional adoption going on. This flock to Bitcoin is not happening just because of the halving. It's an amalgamation of different things going on in the market. You've got the BlackRock, you've got Citadel, you've got Fidelity, you've got Wisdom Tree, Invesco. All of these guys are jumping back in the game because they're thinking that BlackRock can get filed. Now, what is the risk? The risk is as so. The risk continues to be macroeconomic headwinds, plus now the risk that BlackRock get rejected. If BlackRock gets rejected, and they've got a 100% track record, if they get rejected by the SEC, that is going to be a blow because a lot of this could start falling back down to the downside. So that's our risk, okay? So we do have that immediate risk here in front of us. We've also got the risk of recessionary situation, as Jerome Powell was talking about yesterday, and he's still got to get the rest of his rate hiking cycle right, and we're expecting 2 more rate hikes in the rest of this year. So there are risk factors. Now, in the immediate term, I want to see us get higher, right? I want to see us push on a little bit higher beyond these levels. If you look at this as per the rising channel which we had, you can see here Bitcoin's been respecting this channel here. It's bounced nicely here, just like it did here. And if you look at the previous time that it bounced from there all the way to the peak with a nice 54% move. So if we were to take that same 55% move and apply that to the point of breakout, that's now moving you up towards this level here. I need to go a little bit higher to 38%. Now, do I expect it to go that far? Potentially, but all we need is a slight higher high. We just need to get higher than 31. So I'm going to settle for even a little move if it wants to chill out for a bit and go here, and then eventually get itself here to the top line at about 35. Get to that line, then it can chill out for a bit, maybe even come work its way back down. At least we're keeping our upward channel here. So we're not completely out of the woods yet until we post that higher high, okay? This is that level that acts as a resistance. It sent us all the way back down to 25. We can't let this same one reject us all the way back down to 25 as well, because then what do we have, guys? If you then look at it, what we would then be creating is a very horrible M pattern. We go there once, we come back down. We go there twice, we come back down, we form the McDonald's pattern, which is a bearish sign of moving to the downside. So just wanted to share some of the risks in a market where everybody is feeling euphoric. Hopefully you guys find that useful. Make sure you look at your altcoin portfolio and see how much time do you have left. Are you in the plays which you believe in? Right now is probably those last final moments where you've got these huge 90% drawdowns in altcoins. Many people not believing in them because of the SEC lawsuit. And this is your moment. Do you want to take a risk? Do you want to hold those altcoins? Do you think they're going to survive? Do you have conviction on them? And if you want me to do a breakdown of my favorite top 5 altcoins now in this market, make sure this video gets to 200 likes and I'll get that video out for you guys. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.